6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We were basically moored in last place because we all leave the docks in order. And we really felt like we have the best system. So we passed everybody coming out of Victoria Harbor. I mean, almost everybody. And we pretty much left the harbor in first place, feeling great about our pedal drive system, great about our crew. Start sailing, we're on our way to Alaska. As soon as we went down to sail and pull up our pedal drive unit, we looked down and the entire shaft and propeller had fallen off the back of the boat. And we were just in shock. For pretty much a half an hour, we didn't talk. I think I said to him, the propeller and the shaft, and he said, yes. And that was all that was said for probably a half an hour. The secondary propulsion in this race is a huge deal. And if you don't have it, it's not good.
Get a picture of no propeller on our friggin' prop.
Oh man.
The shaft is gone.
Finally made it to the southeast corner of Saturna where there's a little lighthouse shop, and I don't know, there was half a dozen people watching the sunset. So I hollered to the shoreline. We were within 200 feet of the shore if anybody could help us, and one guy said, I can help you. And we sent Lars, just go. And they drove a half an hour down Saturna Island. This guy with the shop had a bunch of old boat parts and machine parts, and we found an old drive shaft for an old boat that was bent. But it wasn't bent so badly that we didn't think we could use it. And the guy said, hey, welcome to use my shop. It was 11 o'clock at night by then. Lars went in there and ground on, drilled holes, came back with a propeller and the right attachment to fit into our system. And we start sailing.
We had what was probably a 20-mile lead. We thought we were coasting into the finish. And through some really tough weather, we throttled back. We had 2 reefs in, storm jib up, and just trying to keep the boat from pitch poling and getting there safely.
Bad Kitty was right behind us, and we knew Pure and Wild was a couple hours ahead of us and going hard. So we just knew if we were going to go for first, we were going to have to go hard. And that's what we did.
If you look in the distance, you can see there's Bad Kitty. And off that little island there is Pure and Wild off in the distance. So, coming for you guys.
Sunrise or 4 a.m. pre-dawn comes up and we see Big Broderna, red kite on the horizon, just maybe 20 miles to leeward of us, but they had closed so much overnight that it was a drag race from then on. It's insane, it's terrifying to see them coming because they just have no throttle.
We were going 16, 17 knots is about our average boat speed sometimes, and we were catching them. But I think we were at the edge. I think an experienced sailor would say you are risking it.
The recklessness of sailing hard at night with obstacles around. Around here, the waters are full of whales and timber and all sorts of driftwood, rocks. It's just such a treacherous race course, but you're still sailing like it's an ocean race. So you're sending it at night in overhead waves. You can't see, the clouds are out, there's no moon. You have no warning if something's about to go wrong.
All right, it's about 3:30 in the morning, blasting along upwind at 20-ish knots. It is unquestionably, we're going against the waves right now. It is unquestionably the most violent I've ever had down below on a boat with steep, steep waves, and trying to sleep it is a lost cause. We're getting tossed around, but making good headway at least right now.
We're cruising along at 15, 16 knots with our big spinnaker up, and a log would drift by that's 60 feet long and 2 feet in diameter. I mean, if we were just a few feet, and that's in the daytime, you see them in the daytime. I mean, hitting one of those things in the night, and that's what we all joke about, is how you know, you see the logs in the day and for some reason they just go away at night, and that's because you don't think about them, but they're still there.
You're just along for the ride. You know, you can do whatever you can to try to control it, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of luck.
I mean, that's the only way. I mean, it wasn't, we were not out sailing them. If there's any way we caught them, it was because we were charging harder and risking more.
At this point, the sun's up, so we're much less cautious and just bombing. And then being from behind, we can see how their decisions are affecting their, you know, their tactics. And they tuck in behind an island that you have to round up to get to catch can, and we see there's a big lee, there's a back eddy of current, and they just stop. So with us, we can just go out a couple 100 yards wider, sneak around them, and that sort of gave us a position of leverage for the next few miles, where we would just cover. Every move that they made, we would go on them, cover, cover, cover. Different boat designs, so theirs is a little bit larger, a little bit bigger rig, but a little bit less racy. So in the puffs, we would be extending on them. In the lulls, they had the water line and the big rig to keep creeping in on us. So it was just a trade-off. We must have traded lead 3 or 4 times on the last, 4 hours to catch can. So after racing for 700 miles, you're basically a restart every single time this happens.
Then even at the end, we think we're done. We're coming into the finish, like the last slot down into catch can, and we see them put the kite up. They're rumbling in. They're pedaling. We have to start paddling. We're starting to pedal. And then a cruise ship is coming out. So 1,000 feet of wind blocking stuff that we have to avoid is coming at us.
Ugh.
And then the wind is shifting ahead, and all of a sudden we're going upwind. These guys are bombing downwind with the kite up behind us, closing again. And it's a rowing race to the last 100 yards. It's insane.
Snake dives. Snake dives.
They just went up.
A quarter mile, 10 grand. That's terrible. That's so horrible. Oh, it's so cruel. I didn't even think it was just cruel.
Are you starting to rethink this whole race?
No, but like that's incredible.
So stress was high, but the level of racing was phenomenal. It was so much fun to be in a battle like that after grinding so long.
Do you know how long they've been sailing?
I don't. I know that this is their 3rd race to Alaska, but I know that they're, commercial fishermen. They're pretty new to sailboat racing.
They learned to sail because they were inspired by the race to learn to sail.
No way.
Just blew my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, they've been sailing like a little over 3 years.
I'm
3.5
blown
years.
away. They know their boat. They push that thing so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what makes it such a good race. It's less about playing small lifts and headers and more about just knowing your boat and knowing the conditions and pushing yourself as hard as you can.